Hey everybody, happy Labor Day weekend. It's been a few days since I posted on YouTube, and so I wanted to get out here and show you how things are looking. This is the garden bed that runs along the front of our house. When we first moved in about 6 years ago, there were two huge rhododendrons, one planted in front of each of the window boxes, and they were about 8 feet tall. They weren't blooming anymore, and I just was not happy with them. And a lot of gardeners that I follow, like Laura from Garden Answer and Jenny from Gardening with Creekside and Robbie with Visit Our Garden and Janie with Dig Plant Water Repeat, they all say to take something out if you don't love it, because it's your garden and you should love it. So that's what I did. And our wonderful neighbor came over with his tractor and pulled out the root balls, or massive root balls, you know, because the shrubs were like, I don't know, 40 years old. And I've just started kind of making this my own. And so let me show you what we have here. We have some ground cover. This is Ajuga. And we have two different kinds planted. They make really beautiful purple flowers. I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's one. It's gonna clear up. I think so, if I give it a minute. There we go. And then I have from Monrovia these auto lichen, I think is how you say it, English laurels. I really don't like the look of this lattice, and so I wanted to plant some shrubs here that would eventually cover it. So I have two of them, and let me just show you the tag, show you a little information. So it's an autolichen English laurel, full to partial sun. This bed is a part sun bed. The front of the border does get 6 hours of sun, so it could be considered full sun, but the majority of the bed is part sun. And this gets, let's see, 6 feet wide by 3 feet tall. So it's perfect. And I planted two of them just far enough apart that they will touch at their maturity. So there's one, and then here's the second one. And then over here in the deep shade, I planted a sweet box. And a lot of people use this as a boxwood alternative. In the winter, it gets these really beautiful white blooms that are super fragrant. And I planted this right by our front door because when we have guests come over for Christmas and the holidays, I want them to smell something really pretty when they come to the front door. And then I planted this, I can't remember if it's Scotch moss or Irish moss, but this is a ground cover. So eventually it's all going to grow together. And I made sure when I was kind of deciding what to plant here, I made sure that I was planting things that grow nicely together, that grow well together. Companion planting. So things that need the same kind of water and sun requirements and just kind of benefit each other. So this Ajuga is gonna grow in under the laurel and make a nice pretty little mat of green with some purple flowers. Very excited. Okay, so over here, my first plant is a camellia, and I got this one from Monrovia. I don't know how to pronounce the name, Showa no Sakai camellia. It likes partial sun. It has beautiful pink fall blooms. Let's see what it says on the inside. It gets 5 feet tall by 8 feet wide, so it's kind of going to act as like a ground cover for me. When I first really started getting into gardening about 15 years ago, we lived in the Santa Cruz Mountains in Santa Cruz, California, and we had camellias all over our yard. And we actually lived on the side of a hill. And so I was super impressed with these camellia trees that were planted right on the hillside, and they were just thriving. I also love the glossy green foliage of camellias. I don't know if you can see that bud very well. It's not really focusing very well, but I'm really excited to see these open up into these beautiful pink flowers. So yeah, that's the camellia. And then from Proven Winners is my Gatsby Gal hydrangea, oak leaf hydrangea. So she likes sun to part sun. She gets about 5 to 6 feet tall and wide. With oak leaf hydrangeas, they do not like to be pruned and they don't like to be moved once they're planted. So I always make sure when I purchase an oak leaf hydrangea that the spot that I'm going to put it in is conducive to its mature size, because I don't want to move it and I don't want to prune it. So yeah, Gatsby Gal, Proven Winners. I buy from Monrovia and Proven Winners whenever I can because they are super reputable companies and they know what they're doing, and you just can't go wrong. Okay, then I have some Autumn Brilliance ferns, and these get about 2 feet wide, 3 feet tall. The new foliage comes out like a beautiful copper color. I don't know if you can see it. It's getting a little dark. It's like almost 8 o'clock. But this is the new foliage. I just love it. I planted 3 of them. I like to plant in odd numbers. When you're walking around my gardens, you will oftentimes see like 3 or 5 of the same plant. And yeah, so those are the ferns. And then this beauty right here, I am extra excited about. I just picked it up from one of our local nurseries, just like a 1.5 miles from our home. This is a Pieris japonica, and I'm going to read you the tag. So it's Purity Japanese Pieris. It's 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. It's a slow grower. Has clusters of white bell-shaped blooms in late spring. It likes part shade. It is hardy in zones 5 through 8. We live in zone 8, Western Washington, here in the Pacific Northwest. We're right on the border of Port Orchard and Gig Harbor in a little community called Burley, right next to Purdy. And if you're not familiar with that area, we're like 15 minutes from Tacoma or 45 minutes from Seattle. So we have a couple of these in other parts of our garden, and in the spring it's absolutely gorgeous. They get covered in these white like tubular flowers, and there are bumblebees all over it. You can hear the bumblebees from across the yard. It is just an absolutely beautiful plant. This will get some red growth on it in the fall. And I think out of all the seasons, our garden looks the best in the fall. The colors are just so vivid and beautiful, and the temperatures cooled down so they're not struggling in the heat, kind of rebounding. And I just love the fall here in the Pacific Northwest. All right. And then our window box. So both window boxes have the same plants in them. I have a fuchsia, and I got this fuchsia from one of our local nurseries, Rosedale Gardens in Gig Harbor. And then this is a Carex grass. And this is a fern. I love ferns in window boxes. I just got these ferns from our grocery store, Fred Meyer. And another grass, and then another fuchsia. It's not opened yet. This is a old bloom. Need to, if it hasn't dropped off by tomorrow, I'll come and prune it off. And then we have one of our rhododendrons. So this was planted by the original owners. It is probably, I would say, 8 feet tall, and it has beautiful white flowers in early spring. And then under that, I'm planting some Hakonakloa all gold Japanese forest grass. I have 5 along the perimeter of this rhodie. And then I have another fern right there. I think this fern gets about 5 feet tall. Excited for that. But yeah, you can see the grasses. It goes around the corner. And then we get into more of the sunny part of the bed. So this front part of the bed does get about 6 hours of sun by the end of the day. So I can plant some things in this part of the bed that take more sun. And this is one of my absolute favorite plants, hands down, of any plant in my garden. This is a hardy geranium. It's called Roseanne or Roseanne. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But it's purple. Purple's my favorite color. And then the foliage turns an absolutely beautiful, like electric red in the fall. You can kind of see the stems already are turning red. And I have this planted in my sun gardens, my shade gardens, my part shade gardens, because I just love it. Love it so much. Let me see if this will focus better. It's gonna focus. Honeybees love it. Pollinators love it. That's a little better. And then behind that, I planted some foxgloves. So these were actually got up to about 4 feet tall, and then all the blooms fell off. So I hacked it back almost to the ground, and it flushed out again. And look at that. The bees love the foxgloves, the hummingbirds. All the pollinators love them. They like to like fly up there into the flower and take a little nap. So I think this is a biennial, which I think means it'll bloom the first and second year, but then it doesn't come back after that. So, but I love foxgloves so much that I think I'm just gonna just buy them, you know, and plant new ones every couple years. I just get them at Home Depot. They're like 10 bucks each. So that's the foxglove. And then this is my Skeeter's Broom Japanese maple. It's beautiful red. It's kind of hard to see right now because it's getting dark. But it gets like a bright, vivid red in the fall. And then I underplanted it with a favorite fall flower of mine, the Japanese anemone. and I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Honorine Joubert or Honorine Joubert. You can Google it. It's a lot of, you know, gardeners have this anemone in their garden because it's just so beautiful. These are the buds, and then they open up into these beautiful white flowers. I guess I have to move back. I'm still learning this camera. But I have 3 planted under the maple. There's the pretty ferns again, the Autumn Brilliance ferns. And then in another sunny part of the bed is my Rudbeckia. And I planted these here last year and they didn't come back. So I think this might be one of those plants that I just have to buy new ones every year. I will continue to plant these here because I absolutely love it. I love this color in a part shade garden. This is also really cool in the winter. So after all the petals fall off, you're left with this gorgeous like seed head. And it's great forage for the birds. So I just leave them. I have 3 of those planted. They'll get about 2 or 3 feet tall. And then the last one, I think, is the Red Baron Japanese bloodgrass. And talk about a spectacular plant. This is red, green, gold, yellow, all on the same blade of grass. It is absolutely beautiful. And when the sun comes in and hits this at the right angle, it's glowing. It looks like it's on fire. And I love it. So anyway, that is your update on the garden bed in front of the house. I am just really pleased with how it's looking. I always, when I'm starting a new garden bed, I always kind of go with my foundation plants first. So the shrubs that are more like, I don't know, bulky, or the shrubs that add weight to the space. I get those in first, and then I plant things around them that will do well with them. So, hope everyone's having a great Labor Day weekend, a great Saturday night, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.